Right, okay. I thought I would share with you the trade that made me $300 today trading the S&P 500. So what I'm going to do, I'll go back to basically pre New York Open and where what I was thinking and whatnot. So let's go back we're going to go back to the 1 p.m. candle. So I'd marked out. I was actually more looking at Nasdaq because in general I prefer Nasdaq's PA, but it ended up being a trade I took on ES. But it's basically the same setup where I had drawn out all these 1 hour swing points, and mainly what I was looking for was a run lower on this previous day low. If we reject it, then I'd be looking to target these three descending highs. And so there was on Nasdaq, there was a swing failure pattern, I think, pre-market, which people might have been tempted to take, but I think time-based context makes a big difference in trading, and that's why I like to stay out of pre-market entries. So I skip forward here to the 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. candle. Don't know why it's done that, but here we are. And then you can see we do get that swing failure pattern. We get that run on the previous day low and a really nice bullish rejection candle. I then scaled down once we had that 3 p.m. come along and that 2 p.m. candle close, because swing failure patterns are not confirmed until the candle closes. I then scaled it into the 5 minute to look about where am I going to enter, because we did have a few different entry points. We did have a fair value gap down here. We had another fair value gap. There's one. We had another fair value gap in here. So there's different things, a little bit of noise that you can be looking at. We then had a inverse fair value gap over here, if that wants to come in. Yes, no, yes. Okay, we're good. Yes. So then we had that inverse fair value gap as well. And I think these setups are things I prefer to trade anyway, when you have this kind of little drive down with a clearly printed fair value gap, which when you then inverse it, normally ends up being a pretty clean entry model. But then once the 3 p.m. had rolled around, we'd already retested the inverse and rejected off of it. So I was like, okay, we're going to use this then as my entry, because I don't think we're going to come back and retest the inverse again. So then I was looking for a fixed 2-to-1, because that's just generally how I trade, fixed RR as opposed to liquidity targets. Although I was thinking about, do I leave a runner for these descending highs and whatnot? But then what I was not aware of was that the Supreme Court was ruling on tariffs today. So because it wasn't listed on Forex Factory, so I wasn't even thinking about it. But then what happened is I'd marketed in 3 contracts. I'd placed a contract at 1R, and then 2R was the other 2 contracts. And I was going to possibly move them about, because I was going to go, after entering in here, I was going to go and check NASDAQ to see if there's going to be any potential SMTs, which might make me change where my take profits were going to be. But then at 3 p.m. candle, that first 5-minute 3 p.m. candle, this happens. The Supreme Court ruled the tariffs were illegal, and the market just shot up, ran straight through both of my take profit limit orders and getting me out of the trade. And I was at the time I was a little bit annoyed. I was like, oh, for God's sake, I didn't have time to alter my limit orders. I could have gotten more if I'd moved a runner to these highs, but that's just a bit of greed creeping in. Overall, I'm super happy with taking what I took from this trade. Obviously aided because of the news, but I think the technicals lined up anyway, so I don't think that mattered too much. But otherwise, really clean swing failure pattern, had it confirmed, clean inverse fair value gap entry, and that was that. It's a very lovely way to end the week.